I'm Nancy Leader of the Zeta Report. Why is the media alluding to Bush's insanity lately? His rigidity on Iraq, denial in the face of facts, and those conversations with God. There's been various books, one written by a psychiatrist, Bush on the Couch, Inside the Mind of the President, declaring Bush as a paranoid megalomaniac, a sadist, and a dry drunk. So this is not a new theme. So why the emphasis in the media now? Per the Zetas, this is to prepare the American public for a sudden decapitation of the U.S. government, with Bush declared insane, Cheney having a heart attack, and Pelosi in the Oval Office. Such a scenario would occur because, frankly, impeachment would take too long. Bush indeed may be hitting the bottle, as many have noted, and suffering from cocaine use in the past. Bush got confused about how to leave a room in Beijing in 2005, and recently, in Australia, during the APEC summit, he got confused about what country he was in, citing Austria. Then he called the APEC summit the OPEC summit, something that's just being planned for Europe, and once again tried to walk off in the wrong direction, this time right off the stage. Is he getting worse? He certainly seems to think of himself as King George, desperate as his poll numbers are plunging, to compare himself to President Lincoln. He certainly seems the happiest when surrounding himself with an audience who cannot heckle him, the poor soldiers who by law cannot speak against him as the official commander-in-chief. And as commander-in-chief, he certainly wasn't in charge during 9/11, scared to death and without a plan. He's been accused of being in a bubble, in denial about Iraq, and refusing to face the facts. But is a weak, befuddled, protected, and isolated president necessarily insane? Per the Zetas, something else is going on. Bush may be arrogant, egocentric, sadistic, and given to temper tantrums when he can't have his way, but he's not insane. Bush's moods and distractibility are best understood if we analyze his goals and his setbacks. For the Zetas, the Bush goals were to invade the Middle East and sit on all the oil fields, commandeer them, so he could be king of the world, having the commodity of the future, black gold, oil, under his command. Doing this via the powerful U.S. military, and invoking martial law in the U.S., and setting up work camps, and I might add, death camps. So how has he fared? His progress is written on his face. The invasion of Iraq went off in 2003 with shock and awe, but Katrina showed that Iraq had left the homeland insecure. For the Zetas, Bush was taken to NORAD after Katrina under arrest, and read the Riot Act, yet more of the U.S. militaries in rebellion against him as commander-in-chief. He wore the same wrinkled blue shirt for 2 days afterwards, and just look at his face. But the economy was going strong in 2005, boosted by a housing bubble, and Wall Street promised they could have the Social Security funds to play around with. And there were other tricks to be played on the way to getting the plan back on schedule. Things were going sour in Iraq, and just after he'd declared mission accomplished, Poppy Bush rushed to the rescue with the Iraq Study Group, which Bush rejected. How dare they suggest that King George couldn't handle the matter? The State of the Union address at the end of 2006 was no longer triumphant, with the housing bubble threatening to burst as it did by mid-2007, and China threatening to dump the dollar, so the tit-for-tat games against Chinese imports began. The immigration bill failed to pass Congress, putting up roadblocks for the labor camps Bush hoped to establish and fill with compliant workers from Mexico. And then there were those nasty investigations of Gonzales, who was finally forced to resign. And the rats started deserting the sinking ship. A2 rose. The Bush rigidity on Iraq is best understood as a refusal to give up on the original plan to sit on top of all the oil fields in the Middle East, Iraq, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. Per the Zetas, Bush has ordered an invasion or bombing of Iran numerous times and been blocked by the military, but he still hopes to start some kind of a conflagration there. Recently, on December 10th, several nuclear warheads almost left the country on a B-52 bomber, having been misplaced in North Dakota. So the stakes in this game have picked up, Bush and Cheney showing their hands. So is this stubbornness and desperation, or is it insanity? Bush has written numerous executive orders declaring that he has the right to invoke martial law at his whim. So what's stopping him? Per the Zetas, Bush attempted to declare martial law over the Emergency Action Network on June 26th. Boom! Straight from the White House, overriding all radio broadcasts. But this failed. It was blocked. And another attempt to incite panic was on August 11th, with the announcement of a dirty bomb planted in New York City. The stakes had picked up, with Bush and Cheney showing their hand. But is this desperation, or is it insanity? So if you hear in the news that Bush is losing it, going insane, it's likely that the judiciary, the FBI, the Congress, and the military have finally said, this is getting serious. If they need to take Bush out quickly, the insanity of King George just might be the route. Until next time on the Zeta Report, this is Nancy Leader.